Mr. President, Americans have a right to know how their government is spending their money. If Congress were more open and honest about where their tax dollars were going, I think they would be shocked by what they would see. It's even worse than people think. I hate to say it. My commitment as ranking member of the Budget Committee is to fight for honest budget practices. I've joined with Senator Olympia Snowe to introduce the Honest Budget Act, stripping away some of the most outrageous gimmicks that are being used in Congress to advance spending beyond our limits. In fact, I'll be filing an amendment today to stop the use of a gimmick called chimps, and one of the very bills that's before us this week. And we'll explain that as we go forward, how that leads to improper increases in spending. President Obama is taking his bus tour around the country, riding in his taxpayer-funded $1 million campaign bus, really, telling people that we must raise taxes to prevent drastic cuts in federal spending. Washington asking for more tax revenue is like an alcoholic asking for more cash before a trip to the liquor store. Even if the alcoholic asks a millionaire for the cash, it doesn't change the fact that the money is not being wisely used. For example, just a few weeks ago, we learned that lawyers at the Department of Justice went to a conference where they were billed $16 a piece for muffins. And we all know about the $500 million loan to the now bankrupt Solyndra, yet another big business ally of the White House. President Obama has coined the term the Buffett rule in his push to raise taxes. This rule relies on a little sleight of hand since Buffett pays mostly a capital gains tax. The upper brackets, as we all know, pay the highest income tax rates, and that's how our system works. But this debate about taxes is a little premature. That's why I'd like to suggest something called the Solyndra rule. Under this rule, before any proposals are offered to raise any taxes, we first put an end to wasteful and inappropriate spending in Washington. Until we do, raising tax rates only funds Washington's continuing abuse of all American taxpayers. But the waste is not limited to headline-grabbing controversies. It's pervasive throughout, I'm afraid, virtually every aspect of our government. The food stamp program, a popular program, the SNAP they call it now, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, is the largest item in the agricultural budget, I think by far. Spending on food stamps, get this, has increased 300% in just 10 years. It's nearly doubled since President Obama took office. And in the appropriations bill before us this week, the Democratic majority here would propose to make that 300% increase a 350% increase. The bill would increase SNAP spending by 14% over last year. Again, even more. 11 million more Americans are on food stamps now than when the president took office. The size of the benefit has increased 31% since 2008. When the food stamp program was expanded nationally in the 1970s, food stamps were used by 2% of the population. At the beginning of the last decade, they were used by 6% of the population. Today, that figure has risen to 13%, 1 in 8 Americans. This seven-fold increase in food stamp usage demands honest examination. It's time to look under the hood of this program. What is going on? Eligibility standards have been loosened across the board. People are getting food stamps that do not fit the program's requirements. We've always had a problem with this program. As a federal prosecutor, United States attorney, and assistant United States attorney for almost 15 years, I personally prosecuted fraud in the food stamp program. They were used as currency among drug dealers in many areas of our country. There are all kinds of problems, and we've done little or nothing about it. Nothing about it, really. One glaring example is something called categorical eligibility. What this means basically is that even if your level of wealth ordinarily would make you ineligible for benefits, you will still get food stamps simply because you used another government program. So if you used another program, you qualify for that, apparently they automatically make you eligible for food stamps. For example, in one state, they've included information for a pregnancy hotline. In other words, if you qualify for the pregnancy or use a pregnancy hotline, apparently you qualify for food stamps. You automatically become eligible for them. In states, all that is needed to become food stamp eligible is to be mailed a brochure by the government. And again, regardless of the assets the individual might have. So the amendment I'm filing today will eliminate categorical eligibility. Only those people who are eligible under food stamp requirements would be eligible to receive the benefits. It's not too much to ask of an applicant for a benefit worth thousands of dollars to file an application under oath that assures that the person is really in need and qualifies under the law to receive a benefit paid for by the taxpayers of this country. Well, the second amendment I'll be offering today would set next year's food stamp funding at the same level that the House of Representatives has passed. The proposed $9 billion increase would amount to a decrease would amount to nearly $100 billion in savings over the next 10 years in the food stamp program. $100 billion savings. So surely members on both sides of the aisle can agree that we need to be focused on making programs more effective before we increase them beyond, on this program, beyond its 100% growth already.